Attention!
Welcome to the Film Mages Podcast, where the popcorn is our ammunition, the couch is our foxhole, and the cinema is our place of worship.
Now let me see your war face. Ah!
Launch.
Honestly, though, Alexis, if you took me to Legoland, I would be so fucking disappointed. I'd be like, Legos? I wanted Mega Blocks!
God, you're cool.
Right?
Yeah, we aren't allowed to give Mick Legos because he will choke on them.
I have a weird... What is that thing where you, like, try to eat not food? It's like plastic. Like, it's in Crimes of the Future.
Oh,
that's an actual thing.
It's called Being a Hungry Little Guy.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Film Majors. I'm Zach.
I'm Mick.
I'm Alexis.
I actually do have this. I can't believe you said this on the fucking episode. I do have this weird thing where I do like to eat Legos. And I remember when my pediatrician at the time, when I was a kid, like saw I was just fucking eating all the Legos in the waiting room. He was like, "What's going on?" And that was a walk there.
Is this a bit, or did you really eat Legos as a child?
He didn't eat them as a child. He eats them now.
That was my Rocket Man bit, where it's just this really long setup that
Let's talk
kind
music.
of forced.
I'm a Beatles guy. You like Elton John?
Do you like Elton John's Rocket Man? I don't like that soft shit.
Well, that's interesting because it's about you. You're the Rocket Man.
So good. Listen back to our previous episode.
A couple episodes ago, yeah, The Rock.
And Con
You know
Air.
what's crazy? I was just thinking about Too Fast, Too Furious, Devin Aoki, is that her and her brother, Steve Aoki, the famous DJ, their father is the guy who started Benihana.
Yeah. Yeah, they are the heirs to
restaurant
the
chain?
Benihana fortune.
You know,
Wow.
I knew that her and Steve Aoki were siblings, but I didn't realize they were like those kind of Nepo babies. I was like, that's crazy.
I'm really glad you brought that up because I learned that like days after we recorded our episode, and I was like, oh man, I should have brought that. I wish I'd known that.
Weird.
So, has anyone seen any films? Any films since we last recorded?
I did.
Mick, what'd you watch?
I finally saw... Alexis is going to love this. This is really exciting, actually. I finally watched Event Horizon, starring Sam Neill
All right.
and Lawrence Fishburne, as Alexis likes to say.
Wait,
Is it
what?
Fishburne or is it Fishburne?
It's Fishburne.
It is
Fishburne.
Fishburne.
Yeah.
Okay.
Since when has Alexis said Fishborn?
I just recently uploaded our episode of Boys in the Hood, and Alexis keeps calling him Lawrence Fishburne, and it's pretty cool.
Wow.
You know what?
It's-
Whatever. Doesn't
No,
matter.
I like
It's
I'm not
really
complaining.
I'm really excited that Mick gets to bring up like dumb shit that we've said in the past 2 years.
It's weird. Like I'm very up to date on things that aren't up to date, which if that makes sense. Anyways,
Everybody
I saw,
subscribe to our YouTube channel.
please. I finally saw Event Horizon, which is directed by Paul W.S. Anderson from 1997. This
Paul
is
Thomas Anderson?
Yeah, right? That's what I said. This is a movie I have long been curious about. Like, it's a movie... It's kind of like the Waterworld of space movies for me, where it's like, I see its poster...
That's a great poll.
I read its
That's a
description...
fucking great point of comparison.
And I go, you know what? This might actually have some serious cred as like a sci-fi film, and then maybe just everyone is wrong. So I'm gonna finally watch it. And I finally did. I killed some time. I watched the movie, and I'd say for the first 20 to 30 minutes, like Waterworld, I'm like, you know what? Everyone else is crazy. This is really cool. It has a really cool premise. There's solar system colonization. There's this top secret project that, you know, this ship that goes missing and it suddenly reappears years later. I'm like, this is tantalizing. Okay, where are we going? All right. Okay. Huh. Okay. Really?
That movie has a little bit of juice, I would say.
Little.
The juice is primarily the like general cosmic horror concept.
Yeah, but it doesn't do anything with it.
It doesn't do nearly enough. And I think Sam Neill has fun in that movie.
He does have fun, but it's just the characters are bad. His character's really bad.
What is this movie called?
Like Event Horizon.
Event, like
Horizon.
Event or Event Horizon?
Well, its original title was Event Horizon: An American Saga Part 1.
Fuck off.
But they pulled that from theaters.
God.
It's like it has this cosmic horror element that it just doesn't do anything with. It never materializes. It's like, okay, what is this evil? It's just so abstract, but not in like a creative way. It just feels like it's not making any bold choices at all.
Yeah.
It's just, it's the legends are true. This is not a great sci-fi film, which saddened me because I do love Lawrence Fishburne and I really love Sam Neill. I love Sam Neill doing creepy shit. I love him in a horror movie.
If you want to watch a cosmic horror Sam Neill movie, watch In the Mouth of Madness.
Yeah, no, for real.
Which, might come up later this year.
I will say though, it gains back some points when a crew member goes onto this ship, the Event Horizon, that has just reappeared after being missing in the outer reaches of space for 7 years, and its crew is all dead, and there's splatters of gore everywhere, and she's in the deck, and there's this frozen, horrendously mutilated corpse that just floats by her in zero gravity, and she goes, a corpsicle. That's an actual line, and she kind of delivers it just like that.
That's pretty funny.
Like,
it's a corpsicle.
It's a corpsicle.
Classic
corpsicle.
Yeah, I watched that movie a few years ago and went in with a similar mindset to you.
Yeah, numerous times I've been like, Zach, I kind of want to watch this. You're like, it's not.
Yeah,
it's not. I'm like, I don't know. But yeah, that's what I saw. What did y'all see?
Alexis, I saw that you logged something. Oh wait, no, you talked about Twisters last time. What
Oh,
are we
she
talking
got
about?
all twisted up over the
We did it
Renaissance.
on Friday, literally like the night before I had seen it, or the day after.
After.
Doesn't matter.
Yes.
Doesn't matter.
Alexis, for the record, I'm with you. I'm also very tired.
Yeah, I'm a little sleepy.
I think all three of us are gonna.
This is
We're
a
gonna
sleepy
power through
episode.
this. We're gonna power through this.
I think you guys missed it, but I literally took.
I saw it, and I powered through my sentence. I almost broke. What happened? I looked over for a split second. I was like, she's ripping out of her armpit. Okay, all right, power through. What?
So as a woman, you can like unhook your bra in the back and then just like pull it through your armholes of your shirt, and then you can just pull it through one armhole of the shirt. And I just literally flung it across the room as I pulled it from my shoulder. And
that shows you how tired I am, because I didn't register that one bit.
I was mid-Event Horizon on Alexis's Houdiniing her bra over there on webcam. It's great.
So,
I feel like I should have paid for that.
I turned off the AC, turned off the fan that's normally going in this room, and I'm immediately sweating again. So I'm
Boy Sweat Alexis.
Can't have a bra on for this.
The official uniform of Boy Sweat Alexis.
Truly.
So, I take it you have not seen any films since we last recorded?
No, but I have seen some stuff, just not films, but unfortunately
What you been watching?
So, I know we're not the theater majors, but I did go see my vocal teacher in The Sound of Music. He's Captain Von Trapp, and oh my god. So cute. I teared up multiple times. Also, let me tell you, it's a dinner theater, and I didn't realize I came in the middle of dinner. So I ended up having to actually talk to the people that were at my table. I only came for the show. I didn't come for the full dinner and service. But I was there for an hour, not doing anything and having to talk to people. Oh, found out that this minister's ex-wife is a lesbian.
Fascinating. Good for her.
Yeah. No.
This is what I like about this segment is, every now and again what's going on becomes a real Fresno news beat.
Yeah.
So you're telling me the minister's ex-wife is a lesbian, Alexis. Now
what's
going on with that?
His ex-wife and his daughter are in LA actually, and they're doing a K-pop tour, and he made sure to explain to me how his ex-wife has now gotten really into K-pop. I thought his wife was the woman that was at the table with us. That was not her. That's his date. And you know what? They were like kind of he was like, oh, you look beautiful and blah, blah, blah. And I was thinking to myself, gosh, that's so nice that they're married and, blah, blah. And then I found out that no, he's divorced and that's his girlfriend. And I was like, oh yeah,
She's
of course. No wonder they like each other so much.
Yeah.
And then, and then at some point, I think after his second or third glass of wine, and then maybe a double shot of bourbon and
I like
coffee,
where this is going.
Then he got around to the part where he was like, yeah, well, she turned out to be a lesbian and, that's not what I would have chosen. And I was like, well, yeah. And he was like, but I come from a very progressive church, so of course I have no problem with it. It's just not what I would have chosen for myself. And I was like, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, it's not what I would have chosen for my wife.
Yeah, she turned out to be a lesbian, which explains why the sex was so good.
God.
Oh God, yeah. So I saw that, and then I've been watching Japan's first same-sex dating show called The Boyfriend. It's actually really good. I really like it. So, and I guess now I'm hooked on random reality TV.
This is now the Weeb Report.
This is the Weeb Report.
Weeb
Report.
Kind of on brand. I am almost finished with season 2 of Heartbreak High, which is a high school TV show that is filmed and set in Australia. So.
Oh, crikey. Looks like she's going down
slang now.
Hit us with it.
Kind of, a badoo is like a penis, but like in like one of their indigenous languages. Let's see here. You know what? I don't need to go into it, but it's a great show. I love it.
Why is it always the sex organs or the terms we learn in a new culture like first?
Because it's fun.
It is. I guess it is fun.
It's fun to know.
So how is Australia? Oh, well, let me tell you, mate. The badoos are badonging.
Well, I saw a film just before we sat down to record. I watched a movie called Heavenly Creatures, directed by one Peter Jackson.
I've always wanted to see that one.
I think you would quite enjoy it.
I know I would. It's got my girl Melanie Linsky and my girl Kate Winslet in it.
Yeah, it's a big time Alexis pick. I think I'll probably talk about it a little more when we get...
She's still giggling.
I'll probably talk about it a little more when we get closer to talking about our main topic film of the episode. But
in like 50 minutes, sure.
Yeah. In a good half hour.
I love this show.
Do you know why I'm giggling? It's because this is like the third time that I've heard that phrase. Like, it's very Alexis in the week. And it was once in reference to The Boyfriend. Somebody said this is exactly going to be your shit. Like, I knew this was going to be some Alexis shit. So saying that Heavenly Creatures would be my type of shit, I'm like, the people know me.
It is the
word is out.
Alexis shit is a subgenre in and of itself.
Indeed, and Heavenly Creatures slots nicely into it.
What the hell? This is going to be one of those episodes, people. Buckle up.
Just sitting here fucking sweating in this hot-ass apartment.
I don't know what the back of your knees is called, but that little, like, hinge, that's so sweaty right now.
I believe it's called the Nosy.
That's a rocky crevasse.
Oh, yeah.
One
of
my
those.
My rocky crevasse is wet.
Tight.
Cool.
Or so I've heard.
Rock and roll, brother. Gross. But yeah, other than that, I rewatched Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning the other night.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How was that?
I mean, come on.
Nice.
That movie fucks. That movie rules. I got off of a long shift at work and was like,
dun, dun.
Yep.
Dun, 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 dun. That's awesome. You watch it on you don't own that, do we?
No, it's on MGM Plus. Yeah, you're looking around, you're not seeing it.
weird.
I have held off on buying any Mission Impossible movies because I'm waiting until
You're gonna
they're
get the
all
whole-
out. I'm gonna get
you're
the
gonna
box
get the
set.
big box set.
It's gonna come,
The Criterion box
and
set.
I'm gonna be there when it does.
Nice.
But yeah, that's pretty much everything I watched.
Cool.
Over the course of 3 days, I think I watched Alien Covenant. It was fine.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I walked in on that.
Such an okay movie.
It was weird.
That movie's all right.
Yeah. That's the one with
Danny McBride.
Danny McBride. He's good in that.
He is good in that
He needs to be in more horror movies.
I agree.
Yeah.
He also was a writer on Halloween Ends, so credit to him.
Was he? Oh, that's
I wonder
the
if he
crazy
came
one.
up with Corey.
That's the one about Corey.
Yeah, it's the one where Corey's in the house.
I could see Danny McBride pitching that. I can hear that in his voice.
I fucking hope to God he did. That would be awesome. But yeah, that's all I got.
Should we talk about the news that has all three of us kind of depressed?
Man.
Do we want to touch on it? Do we not?
You know, okay. Yeah, let's touch on it because I have come to look at it in a slightly different light.
Okay.
Doesn't make me feel great. But if you are wondering what we are talking about,
What are they referring to?
at San Diego Comic-Con this past weekend, which past and future guest Sloan Pecchia was covering with People Magazine, shouts out.
Cool.
It was revealed at the Marvel Studios panel
Hall H.
Yeah, they have reworked their next two Avengers films. What was going to once be called Avengers Kang Dynasty is now being called Avengers Doomsday. Both movies are being once again directed by the talentless Russo brothers. And to play Doctor Doom, Robert Downey Jr. has come back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe to play a multiversal variant of Doctor Doom.
I thought Christopher Nolan had cured him.
No, this is why we shouldn't have given him an Oscar.
Yeah.
You don't give them validation because now he feels like he has nothing left to prove.
And
And just
look,
go back to the
like-
money faucet.
Like, I get it. Like, money's good. I'm not going to,
Yeah, I'd like
go
to have
against
some-
someone for, wanting to make more money, even though, he has a fuck ton of it. But, like, personally,
I could go against him a little bit.
I could
for it.
just I'm just so over all of this. I don't care. I don't want. I was really happy, and listen back to the last year. I was really happy, feeling like that we were living in a post MCU comic book world. Like, it really felt like that. But now one of the biggest openings of all time is Deadpool versus Wolverine. There's going to be a new Florence Pugh MCU film. There's the new Fantastic Four. There's Harrison Ford in fucking the Red Hulk, or whatever the fuck it's called. Captain America, excuse me. And now this.
This is my one thing that I will say, looking at this from
I think
a
it's
slightly
dying, though.
different angle.
I think it's dying.
So
It
despite
reeks of despotism.
Exactly. Deadpool and Wolverine, kind of as close as you're going to get to a surefire hit. You're bringing back Hugh Jackman. It's been long enough for people to miss Deadpool. Not me personally, but it's been since 2018, since that last movie came out. Mm-hmm. But as a whole, Marvel is not the cultural juggernaut that it once was.
Yeah.
Other movies are starting to do well. Twisters had a fucking great opening. And bringing back Robert Downey Jr., to me, is a real sign that Marvel is on the fucking ropes. For sure. They are starting to fade, and as you know, I'm not happy that Robert Downey Jr. is wasting his talents because I would like to see him do more interesting shit.
That's the saddest part for me.
But it is, in my opinion, a sign that it's almost Jover for Marvel.
I hope so. I don't know. And you know what, listeners, if you love comic book movies, like,
What the hell are you doing here?
And it sounds like, God, they're just
I
so
know. Have we ever covered
anti-fun.
one other than Spider-Man?
Yes, we
Yes.
did.
Sam Raimi.
We
Sam
did
Raimi's
Spider-Man,
Spider-Man.
which is
I don't think that
unimpeachably. It's
doesn't
a
count.
film made by a real fucking director and an unimpeachably great piece of cinema.
Here's the thing, listeners. If you are thinking what I just said, that there are probably people thinking that we are just anti-fun. Like, how the fuck can you be mad about this? If you accuse us of being anti-fun,
Then you didn't watch today's movie.
Yeah. Literally, look at the movie that we're covering today. And you cannot accuse us of being anti-fun. It's just the whole corporate
Put a little personality in it.
commercialism behind it.
Put a little personality in your movies.
So corporate made by committee. I'm over it. Again, my comic bookness died with Endgame. Except for Robert Pattinson Batman. I'll probably keep going back to that well until that dries up.
There's some personality in there.
Anyways, Alexis, did you have anything you wanted to add to this? We were kind of just steamrolling that for a while.
No, I personally have no opinion on the Robert.
Fair enough.
That is
I'm like, I don't
fair.
care. I don't watch any of those movies anyways.
See,
There we go.
There you go.
Living clean.
That's it. We're in unity here.
Wait,
Oh,
I do have a point to make that I was making to my dad in the concessions line on our way to see Twisters, which was that I take great offense to the fact that my nephew dogged on me for wanting to take pictures at Lake Como because it is the backdrop of one of the prequel movies of Star Wars, and he said that was some nerd shit. Okay, and then when my little nephew was watching Avengers: The Age of Ultron, and I was like, "This is very confusing. What's even going on?" And he said, "Do you want me to tell you?" And I said, "Sure."
Yeah.
He proceeded to explain the plot of like 12 different movies that
he's
came
a hypocrite.
before this so that I could
don't
understand
accept-
the context. And I was like, first of all, that's some nerd shit, okay?
Yeah, don't accept any shit from that dork.
step outside, nerd.
Go outside, nerd. I ain't got time for your worthless chime-ins. Go.
I hope you hit him with that.
You know, I don't even
You better
think it
tell
really...
this son of a bitch to walk the fuck out or we done for the day.
In that moment, I really wanted to understand what the fuck was happening in the movie because the opening was actually kind of interesting, and I didn't think about this until later when I was repeating the story to my dad, and I thought, you know what? That was pretty hypocritical.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
This kid's a nerd. Oh, brother, this guy stinks. We're coming for your ass on
I
the
guess
Filmmakers
it's just that
pod.
Star Wars is like nerd for old people now, I guess.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
It's because you have all the
To be
TV
fair,
shows that
I
are
don't-
keeping it alive.
I don't know what the kids are watching. And I don't want to. I'm old now. I'll
Yeah,
accept
but like
it.
the
This
prequels,
is, you know what?
you know, like only like, you know, there's like the OG, there's the prequels, then there's the sequels, then there's the TV shows, you know? Some people don't watch all of it, you know? Some people think they're better than other people because they've only watched Obi-Wan and they're watching The Acolyte and people are hot and shit, you know? Whatever.
I feel like I have a good idea of what the kids are watching because of our third roommate.
Oh, yeah, that's actually true.
Yeah. That's
If you're ever wondering.
keeps me up to date.
Are they watching
What
The
are,
Acolyte?
what are the kids watching? It's
Yes, Jacoby watched The
yeah.
Acolyte.
Oh yeah.
That's so funny. I've been seeing like fan cams on TikTok of the guy from The Acolyte, and it was made me very curious. So I did throw on the first episode, and then I don't know if it was the ADHD or my short attention span or whatever, but 5 minutes in, I just like started doom scrolling instead. So
Well, this has been Old Man Corner with the
we've
Filmmakers.
just been shouting at the
this
clouds.
this has been Old Man Shouts at Cloud. I know I have presented myself as the baby boy of this podcast, but time has officially caught up with me, and I am in fact also
He's playing Dr. Dim? Who's Dr. Dim?
Dr. Dim.
Who's that?
What? All right. And you know, I think with that, let's hop out of what's going on. We are back with a new month.
That's right.
We are out of Blockbuster month.
We are out of Blockbuster month, and I'm really sad to see it go. This
God
was a
bless.
really good month.
Blockbuster month was a fucking
That was
blast,
fun.
but now
We had some bangers.
what was that, Alexis?
what? I had nothing
we are-
to say.
We are now into our second installment of International Cinema Month, where we are jumping over to the continent of Oceania, or Australia. But we're going to include New Zealand in here because when else would we cover it if we're going by continent?
So what you're telling me is that we're going down under.
We're going down under,
Hey,
mate.
crikey, mate, look at that. We're going to be in the Southern Hemisphere. It's
I'm
fantastic.
off into the
Welcome.
Southern Hemisphere.
I think that's a sex joke.
I don't know.
I think
Gonna
that
be-
has to do below the belt.
Something involving a badoo then.
A badoo. The badoo is badongan.
You know what's so
so-
funny? I love making sex jokes, but I'm literally like on, what is this?
She's going to give
What
us a
month
number.
are we in? July?
This is
I'm on my
July.
eighth. I'm on my 8th month of like celibacy. It's crazy.
Wow, congratulations.
You're
you.
beginning to store your powers.
Yeah,
You're-
that's
you know,
true.
you're
Yeah.
keeping your psychic energy within.
As my nephew would say on his 3rd day of just not eating, my mental clarity is at an all-time high. Not true,
God.
but
Release your mind.
Thank you, Quato. So, Mick,
we're talking about Australian cinema, eh?
you had a big topic pitch for us.
What?
Our big topic today,
Oh, yeah. So our big topic today, Zach, please don't interrupt.
we've talked about the best dads of cinema.
But you know what we haven't talked about is the worst moms. And you know what? This
Those
past
ladies-
Mother's Day, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. I'm writing it off. No more.
Sick.
So for this episode, just kidding, Mother,
How
I
are
love you
things
so
going,
much,
buddy?
Yeah, hey, we're doing well. I love my mother so much. But yeah, we are talking about like cinema's most toxic mothers. What is some motherhood that we really should not lead by example? That Zach is currently eating Legos.
I've got one from a film we covered.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And what is it?
Dawn Davenport from John Waters' Female Trouble, as played by Divine.
Yeah, that's pretty terrible.
that's a good one.
Arguably the worst mother
Yeah, good luck following that one.
ever.
Yeah, could be.
Doesn't she kill her daughter?
I think so.
I believe
Well, she keeps her in a cage, right?
No, I believe
Or
she
is that
keeps
the-
her mother-in-law in a cage.
Ah, yes.
But yeah, just a complete fucking menace, as described by Divine himself, the Godzilla of drag queens, at it again, chaining her daughter up in an attic, just devilish and the worst. Truly the worst mother, I think, of all time.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
Anybody got anything worse than that, or do I win?
I think you win.
Yes!
I have some others that are pretty terrible, though. Alexis, do you have any?
Yeah, no, I think Dawn really takes the cake, but I have some runners up for sure.
All right, who we got?
The mom from House of a Thousand Corpses.
Oh,
I've never seen
that
that.
movie.
Yeah, well, you guys just.
Well,
wouldn't know
no.
then.
Say, what is it?
No,
What is
I
it?
am
What is it?
fucking
No,
blowing
yeah,
it
what
by
is
not
it?
seeing that.
Okay, as our literal like resident like horror dude, the fact that you haven't seen Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses just
I
feels
know.
like a major blind spot to me.
I know. I haven't seen Saw either.
Well, that's
Any of them.
yeah.
Or Paranormal Activity.
I haven't seen Paranormal Activity,
I haven't
but
seen that.
I
Crazy.
will.
I'd watch
Let's-
House of a Thousand Corpses.
I
though, for
tend to
sure.
use September as my watching some horror stuff I haven't seen before month.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to put House of a Thousand Corpses near the top of the docket. But
Yeah.
you're saying there's a terrible mom in there?
Yeah, she's I guess she's kooky in the way that like Dawn Davenport's kooky, but I mean like in the way that she really loves her children, but like not in the way that she can be good to other people, you know? Which is more than I can say of the mother from May December. She loves her children, but in a way that's really not good for them.
Good pick. Good pick.
God, yeah, that's a
Horrible.
fucking tough one.
That's
Like,
a good
watching-
pick with the big ick.
Ooh, yeah. When watching her dress shop with her daughter and just make like the teeny tiniest little comment that just, you can just see it immediately destroy her daughter's like self-confidence. Horrible.
We've run out of hot dog.
Yeah.
That movie rocks. Mick.
I just think immediately of Allison Janney from I, Tonya.
Yeah.
With the with that weird parrot on her shoulders, and that was just like That's a really disgusting mom. You know, the demands she had of Tanya and the shit that she put her through, based on a true story.
Yeah,
Which makes
that's a pretty bad one.
Pretty shitty. Yeah, that's Allison Janney though is so good in that. Like I forget about that movie sometimes. Really good movie. Allison Janney is so good at playing the villain.
You know what?
also-
I'm gonna ping.
Okay, just to be fair though, she's great at playing a really good mother because I love her as the mother in Juno. So
She's also really good at playing a really bad mother again in Hairspray. Because I rewatched Hairspray, the musical version, and she plays. I hadn't seen that movie in years. She plays Penny's mom.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Another mom who chains her daughter up in an attic.
That's like kind of one of my favorite things about the movie Hairspray is just the fucking whacked out mother of Penny.
Yeah, Janny is on fucking fire in that movie. She's like an insane.
Is perpetually punished.
Yeah, she is like an insane, like extremely repressed Christian, fucking racist.
Oh, good. That's terrible.
Yeah, she's incredible in that movie. She's so fucking both despicable and very funny. Janny, couple of Jannies. Who else you got, Mick?
You know what? Actually, it's Australia month. Oh boy, I'm gonna do Toni Collette from Hereditary.
That's a good
She's a great mom.
Yeah, sure.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, she's crawling on the walls.
I'm in your walls. I'm in your walls. I'm in your walls. I'm in your walls.
I could not. After I saw her crawl on the wall like that and use the string to like saw through her neck, I couldn't sleep with the light off for like a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie did genuinely kind of fuck me up when I first saw it.
Feeling like she'd be there.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not gonna take credit for this perspective. I heard it from Scorsese actually, because I guess he's a big champion of Ari Aster, and he was talking about he found the most horrifying parts of that movie were the dinner table scenes.
Oh god, yeah.
When she is just pouring out this vitriol towards her son and the resentment that she holds towards him is some of the most horrific family drama I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And Toni Collette kills it. She is so good. Because what's crazy about Toni Collette is that she is, I think, one of those kind of like universally lovable talents. Like they're just so charming. They're just so talented. We love seeing them play a good person because they are a good person. So when they play someone like that, it's insane. It's incredibly challenging. But yeah, that's fucking hell. Talk about a toxic, like mother relationship with the child is it's really terrible.
You know what? Runner up the two mothers in Knives Out, which one is Toni Collette and then one is Jamie Lee Curtis. They're like just the awful type of nefarious white woman, you know?
Yeah.
Where it's just like it's under the tone, you know, but it's there.
You know who's also a fairly bad mom in a lot of ways, but is a sympathetic character is Michelle Yeoh in Everything Everywhere All at Once. Has a pretty fraught relationship with her daughter.
Yeah.
Is fairly homophobic.
Yeah.
But is someone who grows.
There's a lot more nuance there.
Yeah,
I agree with
has
you.
the audience sympathy, but is undeniably a toxic mom.
That's a good pick, actually.
Michelle Yeoh is also the mom in Crazy Rich Asians, right?
I don't know.
I know she's in that movie. I've never seen it.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, well, she's like literally trying to like make this girl not marry her son. And I feel like that's kind of giving like toxic mom vibes. You know who's also a toxic mom?
Who?
Pearl's mom.
Yeah, she had it coming, quite frankly.
Yeah,
Pearl
but that's
did nothing
another one.
wrong.
That's
She's
another one I
allowed.
feel a little bit of sympathy with.
She did good work. I think that Pearl was in the
I know
right.
who you are,
Her
Pearl.
mom didn't get her. She didn't understand that she's a star.
You want
If
to vote,
I
you know
were
who you
there-
are.
If I
the
were there,
thing.
it wouldn't have gone down like that. I
I'm
would have
just, like,
appreciated her.
not a
Please call
fan
me.
of authoritarian parents in general. And a lot of times, this is going to sound really bad, and that's okay. But a lot of times when there's an authoritarian parent in a movie and then they get their shit fucked up, I also think, well, maybe you had it coming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
We're saying the same thing here.
You know, a movie that I'm embarrassingly not that familiar with that I feel like is going to light you both on fire. Isn't there a really terrible mother in Coraline?
The Other Mother.
The other
Mother.
I was going to
mother.
bring that up.
Yes.
Honestly, Coraline's mom is not without her issues, but
Yeah.
the other mother takes things to a bit of a different level.
I've seen it. I
That
just don't
movie is
remember.
so
I know
good.
it's, yeah. I
They're
know
going to
it's
be
considered really, really
re-releasing it in theaters, I think, soon,
What the fuck?
actually.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well,
That's
that
a movie
should-
to see in theaters.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah,
really
you
cool,
really
actually.
should. I saw that in
That
theaters
is also-
when it came out.
That is also a movie where I'm like, how is that not on our shelf? I need to fucking own that movie. That movie is...
That's not a Tim Burton film, right?
No, it's Henry Selick.
That's a Henry Selick
Henry
film.
Selick, who directed A Nightmare Before Christmas.
Right.
Henry Selick, who is honestly the bee's knees. That man's so good.
He's the GOAT.
Who did James and the Giant Peach?
Henry
Henry
Selick.
Selick.
Wow.
Oh my
That's a movie I'm afraid to
God.
rewatch because I feel like that would be like really creepy. I loved it as a kid.
I
but it
Yeah,
loved
creeped
but
me
I
out.
think
it did
creepy
creep
in
me
a
out as
good way.
kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One last one I'll have. Notice how almost everything I've said, almost everything is in the horror genre. There's
Yes.
something about bad mothers that is horrifying. We'll get into that later. But Alexis, I don't know. Have you seen The Witch?
I have. Yeah.
Robert Eggers? Yeah. That's a mom that quite quickly you learn is not all about it.
No.
Yeah, she
Both
becomes
the parents in that movie.
Thomason. She
is bedeviled.
our titular character in no pun intended in a character
Wow.
in The Witch. It works. She's developing into a woman, and they are very isolated, and they are pilgrims, and they are highly fanatical religious people. And the mother begins to distrust her own daughter because she is now becoming a woman and blossoming in that way. And the mother, for some fucking reason, thinks
I
that.
love when people say that when it's like, she just got her period, bro.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. It's just crazy that she views her as an enemy now and someone like to not be trusted.
Yeah, who has the devil in her?
It's pretty horrifying.
Even
Not a
carnage.
good relationship.
Again, much like Pearl, a good for her film.
Yes. Yeah. Any others?
You know what? I've got one. Alexis, I see you might have one.
Yeah, I'll do mine because I don't think mine's a segue.
Mine's definitely a segue.
Okay, well, okay, so technically this woman is a mother. She's just not the mother to this main character, but she is like the adult. Anyways, in Jane Eyre, okay, she lives with her aunt to begin with, right? And her aunt fucking sucks. Okay, her aunt's a fucking cunt. She literally, she's raised like the most atrocious young man who beats on his cousin Jane. And whenever Jane does actually end up fighting back, she's the one who gets in trouble and gets locked in this red room, which is like this fucking haunted room of this fucking house. And then she sends her away to like this boarding school where like people regularly get typhus and like fucking die. And to top it off, then later on when Jane's uncle is like, hey, I want to, give all my land and property to her because I have no heirs. The aunt's like, actually, she died at school, so can't do that. Sorry. And then this woman has the audacity to ask Jane to come back because when Jane leaves the first time, she's like, you're gonna go to hell. God doesn't love you. You should have loved me. You suck. And the aunt is just like, you're such a fucking hateful child. Like, best wishes. And then when she gets sick later on, she's like, Jane, I need you to come back and forgive me. Otherwise, I'm gonna go to hell. Fuck you, bitch. Fuck you.
Go there.
See you there.
Well,
Anyways,
good
that's
pick.
it.
Good pick.
Great pick.
Yeah, we needed to put a period piece in there because there's a lot of toxic mothers in the
There
history.
really is.
That's
There really
humankind.
is. And that bitch makes me like particularly incensed.
Well, I had a different segue one, but I'm actually going to bring up Honora Parker Reaper, played by Sarah Pierce in Peter Jackson's Heavenly Creatures,
Okay.
who is, again, was a real person, did, spoiler alert for history, meet a pretty violent end. But also was, repressing her gay daughter in the 1950s. And, I'm not going to say that she got what was coming to her, but,
It is what it is.
I'll imply it. But Peter Jackson, that was his film that he made right after the film that we are discussing today, which is
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. In New Zealand, was released as Braindead, and in America was released as Dead Alive. Here is the description. Overprotective mother Vera Cosgrove, Elizabeth Moody, spying on her grown son Lionel, Timothy Balm, as he visits the zoo with the lovely Paquita, Diana Penalve, is accidentally bitten by the fearsome Sumatran rat monkey. When the bite turns his beloved mother into a zombie, Lionel tries to keep her locked safely in the basement, but her repeated escapes turn most of the neighbors into the Walking Dead, who then crash a high society party thrown by Lionel's boorish Uncle Les, Ian Watkin.
That's about it, but hardly just the tip of the iceberg.
That sums up the events, but not the general vibe. Alexis, what was your relationship to Braindead, and what did you think?
What was my relationship? Well, I'll start off by saying that this movie duped me into accidentally renting the wrong movie on fucking Prime. Okay?
Oh, no.
And it wasn't the, 80s movie that you would think. It was, I accidentally rented a 2007 movie that's also called Braindead, that's also about zombies, and I just saw the picture and I thought, oh yeah, that looks right.
Did you watch the whole thing?
Doesn't matter. No, I started it and then I was like, this is definitely not... I rented it and then I checked who the director was and I was like, fucking wrong fucking movie. So then I had to go back and then I couldn't find it under Braindead. So then I was like, wait, there's another name. There's another name. I know there's... Okay, what's the other name? Dead Alive. All right. Anyway, so that's my bone to pick.
That's just like me as a kid when I tried to rent... That's just like me as a kid who tried to rent the Inspector Gadget but got the Inspector instead, which is a horribly inappropriate movie for kids.
Yeah, that's tough.
So you saw the correct movie, though.
I did see the correct movie. I feeling a little, not brain dead, but maybe brain scrambled. I had no way of guessing how much would be going on in that movie. I mean, it's so camp and it's so gory, but in that really campy kind of late 80s gory way, and it was just wow. Wow. It's so Australian,
What did Alexis think? It was just wow.
This is wow.
Which
I don't think I've heard
summarizes
that
it.
reaction since A Cure for Wellness.
Yeah,
So,
good pick.
Mick,
I do love The Cure.
Yeah.
what's your relationship to Braindead?
So my relationship to Braindead actually goes way, way back. In fact, I've probably told this story on this podcast
I
before.
think we talked about this. We
Yeah.
had a similar relationship to this.
I grew up in a very small town in Oregon called Waldport, and there's this great independently owned video store in town called Waldport Video, owned by this terrific guy named Chuck Hill, who was an artist and really great, prominent character in the community who actually would hand out contraception to teenagers on Halloween because this was a rural ass community and fucking There was no sex ed at all. So that was kind of cool. Cool guy. Look back in retrospect, that's really tight. Anyways, his video store was covered in all sorts of crazy posters that as a very, very young child, I always really responded to posters. I was like, oh, what is that? That's like he had Tu Wong Fu up. I always thought that was kind of cool. There's that other drag film, Australian drag film.
Yes, Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
He had a huge poster of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert up, which I always thought was like, that looks really interesting. He also had a poster of a movie called Dead Alive. And I'll never forget it. It's this
You can't forget it because it's in our kitchen.
It's the exact same one. There's this picture of this woman who's stretching her lips, and there's a skull inside her mouth. And in the VHS section, there is he had a horror section, and I remember looking down at all the VHS tapes, and I had this thing where I was terrified of horror movies as a kid, but I loved looking at VHS cassette tapes and looking at the cover going, that looks scary. And then I'd look on the back, and there's usually like little pictures of screenshots of stuff. And I would always, for some reason, I was always drawn to the Dead Alive / Braindead VHS, because in the back there's a picture of someone's rib cage getting ripped out, and there's a picture of a guy with white hair his chest is being pierced by a hand. And I remember thinking that must be the most peak, horrifying, scary movie to ever exist. I remember thinking that as a kid of this movie. And I don't think I saw this until college, finally. And I was pretty drunk. And I don't remember that much about it, even though I know I've seen this multiple times. Now, the previous episode, I've talked about Total Recall. Another movie that I've seen usually drunk, and I always remember the beginning, and I never remember the end. This is the opposite. I never remember.
Well, the end is hard to fucking forget.
That's the thing. As I was watching this movie for this episode, I was like, is this the movie where there's a giant breasted monster on top of a roof? I don't think this is it, because we're not getting there until finally we get there. I'm like, oh, no, yeah, okay. This is that movie. So for some reason, I don't remember like the first like 2/3 of it, and I kind of remember the last third. So in a way, this was kind of like my final full watch, sober, totally paying attention. And may I say, oh my God, this is the best. I would say Cabaret, Portrait of a Lady on Fire, and Dead Alive are the 3 top movies for me that I've seen this year. Absolutely adore it. Zach, take it away.
So, yeah, similar relationship for me. I remember seeing this poster as a kid and being like, that looks so fucked up. And then during the height of the pandemic in 2020, I was back in the town where we were all film majors, Arcata, California. And I was staying in a house with 5 roommates. And this was the inception of the Zach's Halloween Spooktacular horror movie list.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So we were watching a bunch of movies that I had seen before that I was like, okay, well, you guys want to know what horror movies we should watch. We're going to have one every single day. I'm going to put it on the whiteboard. But oftentimes we would double up. And I'm pretty sure that this was doubled up on the same day that we watched Evil Dead 2.
That is a hell of a double feature.
Because I had heard of this movie.
Yeah.
I had heard by 2020, I was like, okay, this is a Peter Jackson movie. I've heard it has like Evil Dead sequel vibes in that it is incredibly gory and so goofy. And the first time I watched this, I was definitely many drinks deep. There was no, I'm going to confess to a crime here. There was no legal way to watch this in the States at the time. So I may have pirated this. And
piracy is not a victimless crime, Zach.
You wouldn't steal a car.
Oh my God. Side note, I got a Blu-ray of Con Air and it has that on it.
Oh, you did?
It has that on the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
You wouldn't steal a DVD. but it's in Oregon. I left it there. Yeah.
Well, I can't see it from here.
I know. Yeah, similarly to Mick, I had never watched this movie sober before today. I remembered all of it, but the thing that I noticed this time around is I think there's an effect that watching this movie drunk has had for me, which is it has tempered my reaction to some of the more visceral elements of this movie.
Yeah.
I fucking love this movie. I think it's hysterical. This movie is so gross. This movie is so fucking nasty.
This is the goopiest movie ever made.
I knew when I needed to buckle the fuck up was when this woman's cheek starts to peel off and he goes and grabs super glue from the dresser bureau and then starts to try to dab it on in the most horrendous way, and then he's like, don't touch it. If you touch it, it's gonna dry down wrong. And glues her cheek back to her face, and I was like, I see there's somewhere where it's going. And that was, we were maybe at 30 miles per hour. We were still driving through the neighborhood at this point, you know?
Yeah.
I was still thinking oh yeah, my kids live on this street.
No, you're on the Autobahn, Alexis.
For me, that moment happened on this watch during the. Here's the thing about me, I sometimes have texture issues, and a texture that I really don't love is pudding and custard. And
Good luck.
The custard scene in this movie is, I would say, possibly one of the most vile things I have ever seen.
And now, Mick, what is the custard scene?
So, okay, so there's the Wellington League, the Lady League, where there's this couple that comes over to the house after the mother has been bitten by this
Sumatran rat monkey.
So she's starting to go a bit sour. She's starting to curdle. She's curdling a little bit. Her brain isn't all the way there. She's just kind of mumbling shit, and she has this wound that's shooting pus, and. They finish the meal after the mother has ripped the meat from the plates of the other guests and just chowed down on it. And he brings out dessert. And they are bowls of, I would say, not fully set custard, because it's very liquidy and gloopy. As I said, this is
it did not sit in the fridge long enough.
No, this is a goopy film. And there are close-up fisheye lens shots of this disgusting man eating custard, and he's loving it. And at one point, this wound on the mom squirts a large amount of pus into the bowl of already disgusting custard. At which point, he, of course, takes multiple bites and slurps it down and goes, rich and creamy, just how I like it. And I was, honestly, I'm not kidding. I was watching this through the finger slats of my hand going, this might be the most, I'm struggling here.
Man, Mick, I bumped this movie down to a 4.5 on Letterboxd, but you describing it, I actually have to bump it back up to a 5.
It's so funny. I actually think this might be a 5-star movie for me just because how insane it is. Also, the first time that I actually laughed out loud was when the fucking priest is in the cemetery and this motherfucker just starts going ape shit on these zombies, and he says, I kick ass for the Lord. And I was just, I don't know why that was so fucking funny to me, but he was such a sourpuss about, he's like, yeah, that kid, he's always been too close to his mother, right? And then he ends up in this cemetery and he's just kicking ass for the Lord, and I was like, what's happening?
It's calling for a little divine intervention.
This was the point of the movie that I was really we're really gearing up, and I still didn't even know how fast we could possibly go on the dunes.
Alexis, that's the exact moment that my roommates really got in on this movie when I watched it in Humboldt.
Yeah,
I have never shown this movie to someone who didn't like it.
Yeah, I was cheering. When you can combine kung fu with zombies or just horror in general, that is masterful.
Okay.
It's a splatter piece.
The other thing that I have to say is that never, you know how in Pet Sematary you don't like the little boy because he's really creepy, but he's actually kind of scary.
Right.
The baby that's in this movie, though, is delightful. Honestly,
I fucking love that
what
little
a little
he's great.
bugger, you know? And the park scene may be my favorite scene in the whole movie because this kid just like launches out of shit and he just starts beating this like baby's
slamming
face
him against metal
women
poles.
are looking at him. They're like, "What's this man doing?"
He's hyperactive.
And then the homeless guy who's drunk is like,
He's like, "Yeah."
So, Alexis, would you care to explain where the zombie baby comes from in this movie?
yeah, how does that come to be?
Yeah, that was crazy. Okay, that scene in general was fucking wild because I don't even know. Lionel is trying to keep his shit together. He's barely holding it together. He keeps tranquilizing this like 4 zombies that he has amassed now. It's his mom,
Yes.
the fucking priest, nurse. What the fuck's her name?
Oh,
McHavish or something like that.
Something like that.
yes.
And then some fucking greaser guy, right? That was in the cemetery that was pissing on his mom's grave, right? And I think she rips his dick out and then rips like part of his body out of his whole like chest cavity. It doesn't matter. Okay. Anyways, he's got 4 zombies at the table, right? Okay. His uncle
he's
Les,
serving them a nice meal.
He's serving them a nice meal with some tranquilizer. Things aren't going great. He has to like open one's head up to put it down her trachea or esophagus or whatever. Anyways, he goes to answer the door. It's his Uncle Les who's there to he's trying to collect on the money that Lionel has, right? Lionel has inherited
Lionel
some money
inherited his mom's house and Uncle Les wants it. Also, Uncle Les in a movie full of gross shit might be the grossest thing.
Yeah,
He is. Because the priest zombie and the nurse zombie start like making out with each other right before he answers the door to Uncle Les, and he has to like pull them off. But then when he answers the door for Uncle Les, they start fucking, and you can hear them fucking behind the door, okay? And you know that shit has got to be nasty and decayed and decrepit. That vaginal canal is rotting. Like, it's gross. So anyways, somehow they make a baby, okay? And it's a zombie mutant baby who's like, hee hee hee, okay? The shit that Uncle Les says at the door when he's hearing this is the most violent. He goes, "Oh, so you found your dad's stag videos, did you?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, I did." He's like, "Oh, is that the chambermaid and the donkey one?" I'm like, "What the fuck?
Bestiality in the
How
morning.
is it possible that this alive man can be nastier than these 2 fucking zombies fucking behind the door?" Like,
They're in love.
And then he's like, "Oh, I see. Like to keep that kind of stuff to yourself. To each their own."
Yeah, I fucking hope he keeps that kind of stuff to himself.
Absolutely. What is this?
Also, Uncle Les does get it in a very satisfying way because he discovers the bodies in the basement later in the movie after they've been tranquilized, so they're not moving around.
Yeah.
And he kind of blackmails Lionel into trying to give him the house, and then immediately throws a party there, which, needless to say, does not go well.
And
Lionel...
he's just openly trying to sexually assault
Paquita,
the whole time in front of the guests.
Paquita and Lionel end up in the basement. Paquita finds out about the zombies. She encourages Lionel to kill them. He gives them what he thinks is poison.
Which it is.
But
it's also
an animal stimulant. So they go fucking nuts. Everyone at the party gets infected. You have the, like, maybe still the most fucking, like, gore and chunks and blood in any sequence in a movie.
Unreal.
Crazy.
But during this, Uncle Les gets infected by Lionel's mom, who has turned into sort of a zombie kaiju.
Yeah.
She rips his spine out of his back, and he's like walking around as sort of a giraffe-looking thing.
Yeah.
With this elongated spine sticking out over his body.
Because he's immediately infected and now he's a zombie.
Yeah. And then Paquita grabs his like neck, rips it off his body, spins his spinal column with his head on it over her head, and explodes it on a counter.
Yeah.
It's nice when a character who is the most fucking despicable dude in your movie really fucking gets it.
The baby, the mutant baby, the little tyke, may be my favorite character in the whole movie because no matter what people do, they can't catch this fucking baby. The baby's just giggling up a storm, running away. The baby almost gets fucking duked in a blender and somehow makes it out.
Oh my god! Yeah, the sequence
juice coming out its eye.
The sequence where the baby gets like shot out of a blender. Slides along the floor, gets kicked along the floor, gets kicked back towards Paquita, gets whacked with a frying pan where there is a perfect, like, cartoon indentation of the zombie baby's face.
That's so funny.
And then gets flung out a window, is, like, the comic, like, slapstick timing in this movie.
Peter Jackson and I think we agree on how much we like kitschy children, you know? Like, that's
Nice,
what I feel
nice.
like me and Peter Jackson are like kindred spirits here.
You're on the same level. So yeah, I like that you use the word slapstick because Peter Jackson uses the term splatstick to describe this, which is a subgenre.
A subgenre created by Mr. Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
Evil Dead 2.
As I was watching this, and I haven't even heard that comparison, but it is, of course, very apt. I was like, this is the Evil Dead of the Southern Hemisphere. It's just this completely bonkers, like, immensely ambitious horror comedy that immediately makes all of its contemporaries seem juiceless and boring.
Yeah, it makes everything seem low energy by comparison.
Yeah, it's absolutely... I mean, just if you've never seen this movie and you're just listening to the sequences that we've been describing, let me tell you, this is only the tip of this bloody iceberg.
Yeah, there's so...
Literally.
Like,
It is, in fact, more bonkers than we are describing.
we could be here all night describing every single moment of gore in this movie.
It's insane. It is
Also,
absolutely insane.
Just in general, the whole premise of the rat monkey thing and how it came to be is so fucked up. Like, isn't it?
How does it come to be, Alexis?
Trigger warning.
Okay, so is it the rat? No, it's the monkey that.
No, it's the rat.
It's the rat.
It's the rat that raped a monkey.
Yes, rats came off of slave ships and raped
Full of the plague.
a monkey. Yes.
Yeah.
And
Which
went to
creates
Skull
this-
Island,
Yes.
Feeding into Peter Jackson's love of King Kong, which he would later bring to the remake. It came off of with the plague
Yeah.
and raped the monkeys on this island.
Which creates this
Sumatran rat monkey.
this amalgamation of this demented thing that we're introduced to at the Wellington Zoo. They go on a lovely date.
Well, we're introduced to on Skull Island when Peter Jackson
Well, yes.
Is that Peter
takes
Jackson?
it off of the island. Peter Jackson appears twice in this movie.
Okay, so what are the cameos?
He's in the beginning. He's the Wellington Zoo guy.
Is he?
Yes, you don't recognize him because he doesn't have a beard.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Yeah. So he's in that sequence where an underrated moment of comedy in this movie is when he's been bitten by the Sumatran rat monkey, and the people who he's with on this Jeep realize he's been bitten, and they throw him to the ground, and they see this bite on his arm, so they chop off his hand, then they see another bite higher up on the shoulder on his other arm, so they chop off the arm, and he like screams and turns his head, and then they see another bite on his face, and they freak out, and it cuts on them chopping off his head to the title.
So good.
Phenomenal. But he is also, I believe, the guy responsible for the embalming of Lionel's mom.
When he's eating the embalming soaked sandwich.
Yeah, who neglects the body. So when Lionel comes in to try to sedate his mom's corpse before it's buried, she is like bursting with grief,
spewing like a geyser.
Yeah, looking like the ooze from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
is bursting from all of her orifices, and she is full of it.
Yeah, and they left their lunch on her corpse, and it gets covered in this embalming fluid, and then he promptly like
takes a bite of it,
saves his
sandwich.
I
believe that is also Peter Jackson.
That's
I'm pretty sure.
But a little tidbit.
Although maybe not. No, that might be the guy, because in Bad Taste, Peter Jackson like plays a role in that movie. That's his first movie. And I can never recognize him because he doesn't have a beard. I think this might be the other guy. He's listed as
the Undertaker's assistant in the credits.
So then, yes, I am correct. That is Peter Jackson.
A little film tidbit. The very opening of this movie, where you see this New Zealand permitted like zookeeper who's trying to get this Sumatra monkey from. They're trying to escape this tribe. It's very a la kind of Indiana Jones. The location that they're shooting at, the Putangira Pinnacles, this very distinctive like on this location that they shot at, which has these really weird spires of almost looks like cement, but it's like naturally forming rocks. That is Skull Island. For those of you that are huge fans, as myself, of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, this is a recycled location that he used for Lord of the Rings when they're going to visit the Army of the Dead with Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas. When they're walking through those...
Where they're walking through the mountains?
When they're walking through the crazy mountains.
Yeah, to try to get to the City of the Dead.
That's where they were hunting for the Sumatran rat monkey, is the same place.
Also, correction corner on myself. Despite looking very similar to Peter Jackson in this movie, it's Tony Hiles who plays, I believe, the zookeeper at the beginning.
So does he have a cameo in this?
Yeah, I was right about him playing the Undertaker's assistant.
He's the guy that eats the fucking...
Yes.
Of course he is.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
You know what I love about this movie?
Everything?
Yeah. But you know what I love about the production of this movie?
Oh, yeah. Let's get into it.
You know who funded this film?
Tell me.
The New Zealand government. The New Zealand Film Commission. This is a thing that...
It's giving Cronenberg.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Like, you can make more... I feel like if I were trying to justify a movie to a government official, I would feel more confident justifying a lot of Cronenberg movies, because they are like very heady and deal with a lot of complex themes.
And this one is very deady.
I would have a very difficult time justifying spending government money.
I don't know if that's really true. It's a love story. It's a beautiful love story. You know, it's what it really is.
So on YouTube, there is a New Zealand news segment about how the money for the New Zealand Film Commission in the 90s was going to be cut down.
Yeah.
And it's a segment that I think is generally trying to support the notion that, we should be funding our filmmakers. Our film industry is like just starting to kind of develop.
The cultural artifacts are in fact highly valuable to a nation and its people.
the movie that is being produced at the time of this segment with a lot of New Zealand Film Commission money is Braindead.
Yep.
So you get to look up, if you look up the making of Braindead, I believe it's the first result.
Yes.
It is almost as funny as the movie.
Yeah.
Watching like New Zealand government officials justify to a reporter like, well, you know, I think that it's quite important to be making films, and this is a New Zealand film. It's using New Zealand actors and New Zealand locations.
Well, but what's it's true.
It's got
though.
a Kiwi sense of humor.
It's really true though, because he's like, even though this, yes, it does have a lot of gore, and then the interviewee, the television reporter, he goes, well, is gore like important to New Zealand culture? And he goes, well, yes, I think it is. Yeah, I think it is, because technically, well, yes, it is a gore film, but it comes from the perspective and the writers of all collective people. So it should, I think it speaks to who we are.
I commend the government official they interview first in this segment.
He sticks to his fucking guns.
It would be easy to be like, well, it might not be for everyone. But yeah, no, he really fucking stands up for Braindead.
Yeah.
And then they cut to behind the scenes footage of this movie. I believe you see the baby get flung across the set at one point.
Yeah.
You see them like chuck the guy who plays the priest.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. They keep talking about like the amount of public funding that's gone into this, and they keep cutting back to the graveyard scene where there's these greasers that are being literally, their dummies are being thrown by crew just like across the sky, and it's like the most funny shit. And then also, one of the days that the film had this television production come in to shoot behind the scenes footage,
oh my god,
was the priest and nurse sex scene day.
The reporters come on the sex scene day, and they're like, this might be the director Peter Jackson assures us that this is a cinematic first. It's the first time zombies have been intimate on screen.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's the most Kiwi
you
shit.
gotta be first somewhere, right?
Yeah,
as
if you're not
a
first,
white man,
you're last.
it's so hard to claim that, But they do, time and time again.
God damn it, where there's a will, there's a way. We're a tenacious bunch.
Here's a narrative that I find endlessly enjoyable is, look, it is the truest way to say that the reason that Peter Jackson, who we all love because we all love the Lord of the Rings films, got that movie was because of The Frighteners. Another horror film he did, I think it was the last movie he did before he started production on Lord of the Rings, which very clearly showed that this guy and the people in New Zealand and Wellington have the capabilities to do an effects-heavy film, including CGI.
Well, I think Heavenly Creatures was also kind of that way, because I think it showed studios that Peter Jackson can tell a, serious adult drama, but it still used a lot of cutting edge effects.
Exactly. But here's a narrative that perhaps it might not be exactly true, but this is how I like to look at it.
This is what you choose to believe.
New Line Cinema looked at this young upstart filmmaker from New Zealand, Peter Jackson, at his nasty ass filmography, and they see movies like Braindead and go, they correctly surmise, thinking, yes, this guy. This is the guy who we should have bring the Lord of the Rings, Tolkien's epic, to life. And oh my God, he absolutely killed it. But it's so fascinating. This
is the guy who we should give hundreds of millions of dollars to shoot 3 movies at once.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Because also, it's the Lord of the Rings movies are pretty self-serious. And I think that's a vibe that really works for those movies. And it's mind-boggling to me that the guy who could create that did today's movie. Braindead. It's unreal. Talk about range.
Yeah, talk about range. I mean, like, think about how they lit Galadriel's eyes in Lord of the Rings, and then think about the way they lit that zombie's eyes just with one bulb through her skull. You know? Like, that's really range.
Well, first of all, how did they light Galadriel's eyes, Alexis? Because I love that story. It's brief, it's quick.
Fuck. I'm like... They needed the stars in her eyes, so they used, like, was it string lights or something?
They used Christmas lights. They used white Christmas lights. And it looks so fucking good. It's a simple effect, but I don't know if it's as beautiful an effect as Light Bulb Girl.
Yeah, the bit where Paquita chucks a zombie backwards and a light bulb goes through the back of her head and then it lights her head up like a jack-o'-lantern. That's the part we're talking about?
And then it catches on fire, eventually.
Doesn't disengage from the light bulb for like forever.
No, the light bulb remains on.
No, she's light bulb girl now.
That must be a really strong glass light bulb too, because it went straight through her skull and did not break.
Talk about wonderful horror imagery. I love that. What kind of horror movies do you like, Mick? This. Yeah. This is what I like. Look, is it scary? Yes, because it's gross. This movie is terrifying and how gross it is.
It's icky.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I do love how Peter Jackson and Sam Raimi do have pretty fucking parallel careers.
Yeah.
In that they both proved their ability to improvise and work within limitations and come up with something that has massive fucking scope on a small budget with two incredibly funny, gory horror movies in Evil Dead 2, and Braindead or Bad Taste is an earlier one.
There's a take that writer, director, actor, comedian Bill Hader has that I really, really like about Evil Dead. It absolutely applies to this. He says that the way aspiring musicians probably felt when punk first hit the airwaves, or the radio waves, is probably pretty comparable to how aspiring filmmakers felt when Evil Dead or Dead Alive came out. Because
that first Evil Dead especially
the Evil Dead, but like, and I know that this is like, you know, Braindead / Dead Alive had a bigger budget. This wasn't his first film.
Yeah, this is his third film,
and he had, you know, $3 million.
Which, interestingly, Evil Dead 2 is also Sam Raimi's third film,
which is interesting. Look at the parallels. It's crazy. We're seeing parallels. I just
seeing them all converge.
As an aspiring filmmaker myself, like, I watch this movie and I just it fills you with inspiration. Because also, Zach, you made a good point before we recorded, is like, why does the events of this film, plot-wise, why does this all just take off? What is the inciting incident? Why is there a zombie apocalypse that starts in Wellington?
Lionel's mother follows him to the zoo because she's extremely controlling. Again, R.I.P. Sigmund Freud. You would have loved Braindead. But
come with me to the laboratory, young man. I shall give you strudel.
Oh God! Don't even get me started on the German. But she follows Lionel and Paquita to the Wellington Zoo. And she's spying on them, and she's hiding in the bushes near the Sumatran rat monkey cage. And she then proceeds to... She literally fucking slips on a banana peel.
Yep.
She full-blown slips on an actual banana peel, falls back onto the Sumatran rat monkey cage and is bitten, and then proceeds to smush its little rat monkey head with her high heel until its eyeballs pop out of its head.
Which, and this is what I mean when I say that this movie is incredibly inspiring, because I oftentimes look at like my own writing and I think, Mick, you're not clever enough. You're not trying hard enough. And then I watch this and I go, Mick, you're trying way too hard.
As a guy who's writing a flick called The Goo right now. I can't relate.
Yeah, it's
I've overcome that problem for myself.
Good. This movie's beautiful in its simplicity. It's just it's wonderful, and it's also like in terms of scrappy filmmaking, it is an amuse-bouche of practical filmmaking effects. And this movie should be given a lot of credit for getting the ball rolling and creating a wonderful movie industry in New Zealand that paved way for movies that we get to this day, like Maxine, the movie that Alexis worked on. Weta was involved with the practical effects, and all
Avatar,
of that.
Avatar: The Way of Water.
Avatar,
The Way of Water.
The Planet of the Apes movies, the new ones, the Lord of the Rings, King Kong. All of this can be traced back, arguably, to Braindead.
This is an important movie.
It
and when you watch it, I need you to remember that.
Yeah.
And I need you to remember that through every minute of this movie. Everything that happens in this movie, I need you to remember this is serious.
Yeah.
It's important filmmaking, and it demands your respect.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I am not saying that ironically.
No, I'm
really.
not. I do genuinely believe that, but also it's funny to think about when you watch it.
The key effects makeup artist on this movie is Richard Taylor, and I think on that program we watched, there's over 650 different effects that they had to do for this movie alone, and Richard Taylor did all of the special effects for Lord of the Rings, all of them for the Peter Jackson movies. He was involved in the world making of James Cameron's Avatar. And so all of this really comes back to the group of filmmaking friends from Wellington that got started together making movies, and this was one of them. And I think that is really inspiring, really cool, and so we should all bow down and kiss the goop-covered feet
Kiss
of
the
this
motherfucking
ring. Yeah. Good time. Speaking of practical effects, question, and I double-checked this, and I think it's really fascinating personally, but the Wellington, the actual town itself, I absolutely love the streetcars and the trolleys. But did you notice how they moved weirdly?
No, I didn't. But
Alexis,
do tell.
Did you notice that they moved a little strangely? The streetcars, those cool narrow trolleys. Yeah, you know how before everything kicks off, he's going through town, he's going to the shop, and you see cars and stuff going around the town. It's a great, honestly, with this budget, the fact that they got all those vintage cars is pretty fucking crazy. But the trolleys moved a little stop motion-y.
Are they fucking stop motion?
Yes, and not only that, this is true, and I looked it up. The suburban streets of period Wellington and the cars and the trolley are all bigatures.
That's crazy.
I'm going to send a picture to the group chat right now that proves this. Now, obviously, of course, there are some other shots of the trolleys where they had a real one and real cars, but this is one of those examples that when you see this movie and you just see city streets and you see this period version of the town, those are miniatures that they made. And they stretched their fucking dollar. And I love the fact that the $3 million that they had for this, they threw everything on screen. Arguably the last act alone.
This movie only cost $1 million more than Evil Dead 2, I think. I think Evil Dead 2 cost $2 million.
No shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wow.
I get such a delight from things like that. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Are we going to talk about the sentient sphincter?
Oh,
that's right, folks.
It took me a second to realize that it was a sphincter, I guess. I had this moment where I saw, obviously the intestines come up to, grab Lionel, right? And then you see just, almost like a puff of air escape the lower region of this, and I thought, oh, okay, well, the colon may be right, but then there's this moment where it's still trying to hang on to Lionel. I guess it's not anymore. It looks in the mirror. It's an asshole looking at itself.
It's
in
self-aware.
The mirror. There's just not enough. How shall we say, cinema, that is of this caliber, of this day and age where you get an actual sphincter just I don't know, like having almost like maybe an existential crisis, or maybe just concerned
That's
with
exactly how I read it.
Yes.
right? And and then proceeds to still be an asshole and keep going after Lionel, you know?
Hey. I love a pun.
We love
Bravo.
a pun.
Bravo.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
I felt bad when they killed the sentient sphincter. I would have kept it as a pet. It had personality. So listeners,
Well, I don't know. I'm not really into getting fucking, I don't know, hung by an intestine, in a large intestine.
Yeah.
You're not into some autoerotic asphyxiation via intestine.
Skill issue.
Actually,
Call me
that would
unskilled,
be
buddy.
You know, never mind. You know, actually, I'm gonna
don't have to
finish
walk
the
that back.
sentence.
No,
Yeah,
no,
I'm
no,
gonna
no,
finish
no.
the
Walk that back.
sentence
Let's dissect this.
and say that I want to see somebody strangled with a small or large intestine in a movie again. Like, it needs to come back. Bring
Alexis.
it back.
I mean,
Hell
I
yeah,
would
brother.
watch it again, but I mean, you're not gonna
Alexis
do better.
understood the assignment. She understood. No, if you have no idea what we're talking about, this greaser that we keep mentioning on this podcast, one of the characters who turns into a zombie.
Yeah, he's one of because essentially the gag of the second act of this movie is sort of the escalation of Lionel trying to keep his zombie mom under wraps as like slowly more people get infected. One of these people is a greaser who attacks him
who pisses on her grave, and he goes, "That's my mother's grave you're pissing on."
Yeah, we talked about him earlier.
Yeah. He at one point gets
Becomes
cut in half.
bisected.
Yes, which by the way is a hell of an effect.
Oh my God,
where
it's good.
where he's crawling through this door, he gets cut in half, but then without cutting really, he keeps crawling forward but with no legs.
Yeah.
And he then puts himself upward, at which point his lungs...
He's trying to attack Lionel in the bathtub.
And he can't because he gets stuck in the toilet.
Yeah, his digestive system falls out the bottom.
His lungs, his liver, his intestines, and his sphincter all fall out, and the collection of those organs continues the good fight for probably another 20 minutes. It chases him through the attic.
A while.
Yeah.
Like, because you think that maybe it's over, but then Lionel finds a body in a fucking chest, and then and then he gets attacked by the sphincter again, and you're like, where'd you even come from, brother?
And then he falls through the floor back into the main awning of the house. Okay, let's see. There's a few more things I want to bring up with this movie. I mean, we could. There's so much.
Yeah,
but,
no, literally. We're like 10 minutes away from the runtime of the movie, though.
Okay. So, I'll go with the Alexis specific one. Sorry about the dog.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes. Literally, as soon as that happened, I was like, well, I guess I have another movie to add to my list of movies the boys have made me watch where a dog fucking dies. But to be honest, it is probably the least offensive dog death scene in any movie ever. I think I just don't take it as seriously, which is such a wild thing to say because they actually
did we watch the same scene?
Pull out of the mother's mouth like half of the dog's body, like whatever they couldn't actually eat, like the hair and maybe the spine.
It's its fur. It's a giant fur ball.
Like Lionel pulls like basically an entire German Shepherd tail out of his mother's mouth as though it were like a magician's handkerchief trick.
Yeah, I think
it just keeps coming out.
I think it's just that Peter Jackson somehow has gotten the sauce recipe just right that I was so baffled and in awe of how quickly she ate a full-size German Shepherd that I was less upset that the dog had died. But I was fully with Paquita when she was like, she ate my dog!
Not all of it.
Like,
yeah. By the way...
That's kind of cute. I don't know. I get it.
All right.
Okay, this is my second point.
There's a sickly white boy.
Quick transition. Okay, so...
It's got beautiful eyes.
Okay. I will say, An incredibly funny part of this documentary that the New Zealand news crew put together about Braindead is a point where Peter Jackson says, it's a beautiful love story, and like is saying this and like trying not to laugh. I will say personally, I feel like and to be clear, I fully don't care, but the love story aspect of this movie is probably the most underbaked aspect.
Which kind of makes it great, though.
Yeah, Paquita decides that she's in love with Lionel because, like, her witchy grandmother does a tarot
card reading. Yeah.
And then his clumsy ass knocks over some pencils that makes the same symbol as the tarot card.
And he kind of looks like the Knight of Cups. So, like, I could see it.
Sure.
And I personally was saying he's a fucking dip, but I did not consider that he is a sickly white boy, so among the film majors.
Oh, my God. Thank you for bringing this up, because I had a moment after she went on the date with the other guy, and the guy is just going on and on about his fucking, like, football days and, like, giving her, like, career. A play-by-play of, like, every yard he took or whatever. And then you get to see Lionel again, and I was like, oh my God, he's sensitive. He's probably a little mentally ill. He's got some problems. We love him. We love him because he's a white boy with problems. The other guy, he must have a nice job, cushy, he's well-adjusted. We don't want any of that.
No,
gross. He's annoying. Fuck that guy.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Well,
it's
I'm
like
surprised.
Like Mia Goth and Pearl and all these scenes where it's like he has problems, but I
Pearl's
can fix
allowed.
him.
Pearl's allowed. I could fix her.
Yeah. I think because that's something we actually haven't quite talked about yet. Obviously, today's big topic was toxic mothers. Now, the mother who gets infected here, I mean, she is toxic. She's bursting with fucking poison and goop, but not just toxic in that way. He has daddy issues because it's his understanding that when he was a small child, he nearly drowned. And so his dad jumped in the ocean to help save him, and he does. But then in the process of doing so, he drowns himself. So in this really horrible way, he has grown into the man that he is today with this sense of guilt that I am kind of responsible for the death of my dad, who I don't even know. I only see a picture of him. And his mom cultivates this and controls him and has her fingernails practically in him, and as Zach described, follows him to the zoo because he's worried that he's falling for this girl. And she comes to visit him late at night on the porch, and he's like, this just won't work. This just isn't going to work because me mom, this isn't going to work. Well,
even when she is dead, she is trying to ruin his fucking love life. Like she
shows up to the fucking store.
Yeah, the point where she actually like gets pronounced dead and is buried is when she comes to the store because he's gone to see Paquita, and she gets fucking hit by the trolley.
Which is great because she literally flies like 30 feet through the air.
It's so good.
But yeah, at one point while he's being chased by the sentient sphincter, he notices this trunk in the attic that has this corpse in it. Who is this? And it's this picture, all of these black and white pictures of his dad and this other woman. And the corpse is of this other woman. And
he's getting flashbacks.
He gets flashback, repressed memories in the morning. Whoa. He remembers that his mom actually murdered his dad and his mistress by drowning them in the bathtub, and he witnessed it. So this whole time that he's felt guilty for his dad's death has been a lie, and she's been controlling and conniving and treating him like this precious animal to abuse almost.
Yeah, this thing to do what she wants.
Yeah, and it's actually this, I think, genuine bit of emotion, of revelation for this character when he conquers his fear of his mother, who is now this giant, as you said, kaiju, large-breasted
she's a giant,
monster.
Large-breasted zombie kaiju who then, opens her stomach cavity up and shoves Lionel back into her womb. Again, it's a crying shame that Sigmund Freud did not live to see Braindead. It would have been his favorite movie. He would have just been full of cocaine and going, see?
Yeah, there's literally a quote on IMDb that says, in parentheses, sucking Lionel into her gaping womb, quote, no one will ever love you like your mother.
He can't keep getting away with it. He can't keep getting away with it.
In the New Zealand television special, they actually interview Peter Jackson's actual mom, low-key wanting explanations for this. And she's a sweet little lady.
I feel like if there is any movie that we've ever reviewed on this podcast where like you listen to the episode and it should like immediately incense you to like go watch the movie, I feel like it's this episode.
Yeah,
because
you
like
need
we
to
really
see this.
hit all the highlights, but it's just so much better when it's all strung together. Is better the right word? I don't know.
If you go over to my personal Instagram, I have all of my Spooktober lists posted there as highlights. I believe this was on the second year I did this. If you're ever looking for something, I post these lists for you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to expose you kids to some goddamn culture. So yeah, check out any of those, but especially check out this movie because I've shown this to a lot of people in the 4 years since I've seen it. And people tend to like it.
Yeah, to be honest, I'd always seen that poster in your guys' apartment, but I'd never understood the context for it. Now I get it. Now I know why it's up at your house, and I'm fully for that. Can I just, quick side note, was anyone else incredibly concerned when Uncle Les came over and he's talking about how, I gotta take a stag or whatever the fuck he says?
A slash.
And he means he needs to take a slash because he's got a urinary tract infection. But then when he starts to pee, it almost sounds like he's peeing pebbles.
Yeah, he's peeing gravel.
Yeah, he's peeing gravel into
kidney stones.
the toilet bowl. And,
Yep.
This man's got, some very concerning kind of sores on his face even before he becomes a zombie. Nobody else is concerned. I don't know. He's got something going on.
Yeah,
I'd assume it's some sort of an STD thing with the sore 100%. On his face.
I mean, that just kind of speaks to, I love that our main character, he's like, Lionel, he keeps trying to maintain this movie. The most bonkers things are happening, but instead of being horrified that, oh my God, the dead are coming to life, he's more embarrassed and is trying to keep everything under wraps. And in a way, everyone happy. He's feeding all the zombies scrambled eggs. And
that is, by the way, the moment that I was really like, oh my God, this movie is gross, is when the eggs come out of the nurse's neck.
Yeah, it's absolutely disgusting. And then he pulls her head back because it's mostly decapitated and just starts stuffing it down the throat.
At that point, it was like, I don't know, just something about them spilling out of her fucking neck slit is just beyond the pale.
But I love how
again, the news crew was there that day. The news crew was watching government money be spent on this.
But I just love that Lionel's always trying to. He's always trying to maintain a sense of normalcy. Even with the zombie baby, what does he do? He takes her to the park in a little baby stroller because that's what he's supposed to do.
He's even looking at a mom and he sees her talk to the baby, so he tries to talk to the baby, and that's when the baby starts going fucking kooky, and then he starts beating the baby all over the park.
You gotta beat up the baby.
I think at one point the baby even starts coming for him, and he takes the swing and he slams it back into the baby's face and launches him across the park. That shit is my favorite part of the whole movie. Just that sequence, one section. That sequence.
That is one of my favorite bits of it, because that is we're talking about this being a splatstick movie. That is the most like classic silent era because there's like no dialogue in that sequence. It's just gags. It's just my physical comedy with this little zombie fucker.
Because nobody's dying, nobody's getting bitten. It's just him beating the shit out of a baby in front of a bunch of mothers at the park.
Yeah, who, by the way, aren't like appalled. They're just more like, that's so like
crass.
I don't approve that type of parenting.
Us.
Yeah, it's so funny. I think one of my favorite examples, though, of splatstick is during the end where there's so much blood on the floor and Lionel's trying to run away from the horde of zombies.
And he's running in place.
He's running in place because the floor is so slippery with blood, and it's a gag that goes on for at least 12 seconds. It's so good. A couple last things I want to shout out, though, really quickly, because we probably should wrap up this fantastic. Just fucking watch the movie. We cannot do it justice. I love the veterinarian who's definitely not a Nazi. I love how immigration. I told you I lost my papers.
Yeah,
and he hands him the fucking what is it called? What
tranquilizer?
The tranquilizer.
Well, yeah, he goes, I have no sedatives, but I do have tranquilizers.
And he's literally drooling as he's doing a dissection on a poor little dog. And he hands the tranquilizer, and you literally see a hole in his lab coat with the swastika sleeve still on his arm. And he goes and he hands it to Lionel so that he can, sedate all of these zombies living in his basement. And the camera goes in on his face, and he goes, "Do you want a syringe, or will you sniff it?" So funny. So fucking funny. And then I absolutely love the bit where the guy's legs get peeled off like banana peels.
Oh my God, it's so good. That's such a great effect.
It's a fantastic effect.
Yeah, his legs are just left as like...
You see his pelvis and his...
bones.
It's absolutely amazing. And then, did anyone else think Paquita looked a little bit like Diego Luna?
No.
Really?
I think you're just racist.
No, I don't think I'm... I think she looks so much like Diego Luna. I was like, oh my God, they could be siblings.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's giving Uncle Les when he's like, how's that hot little Latin number?
Wow.
Okay, Alexis, final thoughts on this film?
Yeah, in the third act, somebody literally punches through the back of somebody's head, like with their arm goes through their head. That shit was wild. Yeah, this was like the point of the movie where I was just like, shit has gone absolutely bonkers, and we hadn't even made it to the crazy ass mom. So yeah, like just watch the movie. I just, I'm not even normally on the train of some of the shit that Zach likes, but I'm really knee deep in this one.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Knee deep in goop.
This is one of the great goo movies.
Yeah.
There's so many secretions. I can't sing its praises highly enough. I really wish... Here's the thing I'll say. Drawing a comparison between Sam Raimi and Peter Jackson. I would love to see Peter Jackson do what Sam Raimi did, and late in his career return to his goofy horror roots.
Hear, hear.
Because Sam Raimi, after making Spider-Man 3, made Drag Me to Hell, and is about to make another horror film, I believe, called Send Help.
Yes.
And Drag Me to Hell is a fucking delightful movie, and it's, Sam Raimi using all of the experience he gained in, however many decades more of filmmaking, but returning to that sort of sensibility where he started. And Peter Jackson has been out of the directing fiction films game for a while. He's done a few documentaries, but I would just love to see him make another horror movie and get his groove back, because I would hate for The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, to be his last narrative fiction film.
Yeah, it's hard for him to do small movies, it feels like.
I think I think he needs to return to where it all started.
He has a little bit of Robert Zemeckis-itis.
He does, but I don't think it has to stay that way.
No.
Or, he could give us the second Tintin movie. I know Tintin wasn't a hit, but he was supposed he was supposed to direct the second one of those, and Tintin fucking rules.
Yeah.
Get on it, Peter Jackson. I want to see more movies out of you.
Yeah. Great movie, and a great piece of, it's a cultural artifact of our friends down south in New Zealand. Thank you so much for giving this to the world. Which, by the way, if you're in South Korea or Singapore and you can't watch this movie still banned in those countries, go ahead and fuck it. Pirate that shit, it's worth it.
Yeah, there's a good version of it on YouTube, I'm told.
But you didn't hear that from us. For legal reasons, that was a joke.
Yep.
Well, great way to kick off Australian Cinema Month with
a New Zealand film.
Or
let's say Oceania cinema.
No. I love it. Alexis, do you have a pick that you'd like? I have a pick if you don't have one, but it's I'll kick it to you.
Do you want to go to Australia or do you want to stay in New Zealand? Is yours Australian? Because mine's New Zealand.
Mine is Australian.
Let's go Australia.
Okay.
Let's flip a little.
We're gonna flip a little. So we will be we're gonna be leaving the island of New Zealand, and we're gonna be going up north a little bit to Australia.
The continent of Australia.
I got a question for you.
North?
If you were to go to, maybe it's a little northwest of New Zealand.
Sure.
If you were to go,
I know maps,
from New Zealand to Australia. Probably the best way to go would be by plane. It's fast, it's efficient, and we're going to go ahead and put on the thrusters, and we're going to put some landscape down the runway. But instead of that, we're going to take a nice leisurely way to Australia. And what better way to traverse the seas than by boat?
You fucker. I guess I picked a horror movie, so...
If it's going to be Australian Cinema Month, then I think we deserve a boat movie. That's right, folks. Our next film is going to be 1989's Dead Calm, starring our favorite Sam Neill, one of our favorite character actors, Billy Zane, and Alexis's favoriteest gal, Nicole Kidman.
This was when she was still like
directed,
a redhead with like really curly hair.
Yeah. Ooh, Alexis is turning red.
She's blushing.
Ooh, she's going strawberry for the strawberry. We have this directed by Philip Noyce.
Noyce.
It's actually Noyce, which I imagine is it's Philip Noyce.
Noise.
He's a nice director. He is.
Noise.
You can watch this on YouTube. You can watch on Google Play, Apple TV. Just rent it anywhere you rent your movies. You can find it on Amazon Prime. So I'm excited to get a boat movie, not in Boat Month.
Yeah, this movie was referenced in the behind the scenes of Ghost Ship. They said
right.
They said that Ghost Ship was like Dead Calm meets The Shining. And spoiler alert, it is not.
So that will be our next one.
Yeah. This is nothing like Ghost Ship other than that it is on a boat.
I haven't seen this since I was a kid.
We've got 5 Fridays this month.
Yes, we do.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we do.
Oh,
Hell yeah.
We're staying down on it for a while.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm excited to watch this. I haven't seen it since I was a kid, and I remember basically nothing about it. I just love Sam Neill. I love Nicole Kidman.
Hell yeah. Well, that's where you can find Dead Calm, and if you want to find us, the Film Majors, you can find us at Film Majors Pod on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and TikTok. You can find us on YouTube, the Film Majors. Go ahead, like, comment, subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe!
And yeah, you know what? Follow us on whatever podcatcher you're listening on. It boosts us in the algorithm. All right.
Boost.
Boy.